teddy bear, isn't she? She really dislikes this. Okay, down you go. Alrighty. Let's don't spill the tea. I don't know. I'm trying to be cute. just don't try. Hello there. We're not even in close to the window saying Happy New Year anymore, are we? Well, to me, it's still that season. Every year, I find that I take more and more time during the month of January to really get reflective. Instead of being like, okay, January 1st, we're gonna have the reflection and the plan and the goals and all this. No, now it's more like, okay, between New Year's and my birthday, which is at the end of the month, it's really when I do a lot of percolating, considering, careful reflecting, and inward analysis of the past year. I've been filming this video for many years now, and it is one of my favorite videos to film because it really kind of helps me verbalize, quite literally, my thoughts. But it also is one of the only videos that I look back on. Hey, bunny. You want to sit next to me? Come here. You can sit here. No, we're going to sit over there. Okay. It's one of the only videos I look back on, and so around New Year's every year, I will watch the previous year's video, and I'm always just so fascinated by it. So it's actually been a few weeks since I watched the video. It's not fresh in my mind, my 2021 goals and reflection video. But what I do remember as watching it was that despite being in a very, very emotional place, in a very difficult time, and right at the beginning of a very challenging emotional year, I was still just so full of hope. And that is really what stood out to me, and that is what carried me through this past year. So before we get into kind of my thoughts for the new year and all the planny whatever things I do, which is not much this year, to be honest. I'm keeping it real loosey-goosey. I just want to take a moment to share a little bit about last year. I really closed off completely online, and even, personally, in my personal life, I just kind of shuttered the windows and closed the doors and really hunkered down because it became rather apparent within the first couple of weeks of the year that I was going to be deep diving, and it was going to be some tough stuff. It was going to be some tough stuff. So 2020 was a very tumultuous year. It was the first full year of being separated and then ultimately divorced. And that was a long process lots of ups and downs. And there were just lots of shifts in my life. I moved. The pandemic, 2020 was just a roller coaster. I feel like I didn't have a moment to really catch myself. It was just, there was a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of swift changes. There was a lot of curveballs. It was just, whew. Then 2021 was the reckoning. 2021 for me was a deep dive of reckoning. And it was tough. It was tough, and there was a lot of changes I made to my content. I completely changed my content, actually, and there was a lot of changes in my personal life. I lost a lot of people from my life that I either stepped away from, or they stepped away from me, or we grew apart from each other. There was just like a massive exodus of people and of community and of connection in 2021, and it was a very lonely year. It was a very isolated year. And that's not to say that there was not any connection. I did not have support. I did not have any sort of community. I did, but it was very, very, very different. And I think it was just the time for it. It was just the time for it. That so many shifts happened, like I said, in 2020, that was the aftermath. And I honestly felt like I was burning all year. And every time I would burn, it felt like my whole world would burn and I would just be emotionally raw and just go through something so hard. I would come out of it. Born again, only to walk right into another fire. And it just felt like that. Boom, 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 boom. All year round. And I know this is going to sound overly dramatic, melodramatic, and, whatever, fill in the blank to some people. But that was just my experience. That was my honest experience. And I'm not going to discredit that I am incredibly blessed and privileged with my circumstances. I am supported. I am financially secure. I have family support. The kids have a dad who is great. So I have a great co-parent support. So it's not like I was like flying on my own, like nothing's working out for me. No, all those things were working out fine. All of that, and so blessed and continually grateful and aware of that throughout this whole time. But I still went through it emotionally. I still did. And I think that's something that sometimes I know I can forget in regards to other people. Like, it might look like somebody has everything together in their life, like on paper, everything looks great. And you're like, oh, if only I had what they have, then I would be happy and feel good and all the happy stuff. And it's just not true. It's just not. The emotional stuff comes, the tough stuff comes, whether you have all of the privileges and blessings or not. And I am not trying to discredit anybody else's experiences by sharing my own from this place of privilege. And I just felt it really important to say that. I'm just sharing my experiences and my thoughts in the hopes that it brings a sense of connection between you and me, and that if you're experiencing anything, even not similar to what I am, but that feels other or different or not acceptable or somehow doesn't fit in to your circumstances by what you perceive others might think, I just want you to know that you're not alone. Being human is something we all have in common, regardless of our circumstances. And let's be honest, being human is not easy. There's the human consciousness and emotional complex is not easy for anybody to navigate. Especially if you are tapped in, and I tapped way in. 2020 got me plugged way in, and 2021 was the reckoning, and it was hard. I felt a shift towards the end of the year, and I felt myself definitely coming up for air, and I feel that there's different things on the horizon this year, and a lot of that is working through things very diligently, and all of the therapy that I have had and continue to experience that support me, and all of the self-reflection techniques and all of the things that I have learned that just help me in general with my life. They all make a difference. But man, it was rough. There were some really fun times. I had some really great adventures, and I learned so much about myself on my solo travels and going to Italy and backpacking and trying van life and all the little trips in between, and finally traveling with the kids a little bit again and kind of embracing that as a solo, as a single parent, and just kind of all of that, lots of beautiful things, and lots of reckoning. So that's really it in a nutshell. There's a lot wrapped into there, but that's the best way I can share it in any sort of succinct way that feels comfortable to me at this time. But I will tell you, it just felt like my whole world just burned, but it was supposed to. Like, it wasn't without purpose. I was supposed to lose the people I lost, and I was supposed to go through the grief that I did, and I was supposed to travel the places I went and climb the mountains I did, both literally and metaphorically, and I was supposed to hit the lows that I did too. And I feel so much at peace with all of that. So I think it was a really critical part of my like personal life journey. So we're coming into 2022 now with all of that behind me, and I'm coming at it with from a place of a kind of peace I've never really had before, and a kind of peace I wouldn't have come to without all that. I firmly believe that. And I trust that what unfolds in my life is meant for me, whether it's good or bad or anywhere in between or not categorizable in that way. I trust that really fully now. And I've said that for a long time, but now I really feel it. I really trust it. And that was interestingly, that was my word for 2021 was trust. And that was, my experience was learning how to trust through all of that. That this is my life, and it is my path, and it is what's meant for me, and I will learn and grow within my circumstances, and I can really pick myself up out of the lowest lows and rise again. And here we are with my word of 2022, rise. That one kept coming to me a lot. I love the story of the phoenix and sort of the imagery of metamorphosis and that continual rebirth. That really resonated with me last year, especially towards the second half, where I just felt like, yes, I keep walking into these fires, but I keep rising up out of the ashes again. And that is the lesson. Like I will continue to rise up. So that's the word I picked. Carry, and I do carry a word with me. I love the One Little Word project from Malley. I'll put a link to that. That project below, enrollment is open, and you should totally join. I actually did not complete or do any of the project in 2021, even though I had full intention to do it. And I've actually taken on a 2021 One Little Word retrospective project because it's something that stuck with me. I am sad that I didn't do it, so I'm like, well, instead of being sad about it, I'm just going to do something about it. I'm going to do a retrospective version, and that will be different, but it will be awesome. So I'll keep you, I don't know, if you're interested in that, I'll keep you posted on that. I've actually, interestingly, memory keeping is my top hobby, and I completely stopped memory keeping like midway through December Daily, which is a project I do in December of 2019. And that was about 3-4 months after I'd separated from Don. That was after the dust had settled from that, and things just went like cuckoo for like a full year and a half. So, yeah. So I think just emotionally, I just couldn't craft. Isn't that interesting? And what do you know? In the last week, I finished my 2019 December Daily album. I've started the 2021 with full plans on finishing it, and the 2021 one, and I started 2022 One Little Word, and I'm going to do the 2021. I'm like way back in memory keeping. So to me, again, it's just another sign. And it wasn't something like I forced myself to do. I just naturally came back to it. So to me, it's another sign that there's a shift, and this year has a different flavor to it. And whatever I have gone through in the past couple of years, I'm coming out of into a new phase. So that being said, let me share a little bit about what I have on the horizon for myself this year. And I come at this with not the lens of resolutions or even goals. I write goals, but it's more like strategies, I don't know, possibilities, focuses, kind of a list of priorities maybe. So historically, I've done something rather special like this in a very fancy bullet journal that's beautiful. And I don't have that this year. But I did start by making the same little flow chart sort of thing. It's not really a flow chart, but it kind of looks like that. Following the same method I've done for the past few years. It's just a good way for me to organize my thoughts with this video in particular. And it also pulls together all of the words that I've used, that I've like deliberately chosen a word of the year. And they're not in order of how I've chosen them, but they're all there. And then with the new word of the year at the bottom here. So I will go over this and I'll just share with you what I've written here. And it's the same. Like the past year's words, I keep the same because they all still resonate. They're all still priorities for me, even if the circumstances have shifted a bit. And then I add the new one. So under create, I have content. That's you and me here. And I want to expand that a little bit more into more content into a different platform, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then memory keeping. And I'm already back in it, and it feels amazing. It feels so good. I don't know if you have a hobby or something you love that you don't do for a while or can't do for a while for whatever reason, emotional, physical, circumstantial, and then you come back to it, and it's like remembering being in love. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just such a joy. So that's already happening, and that's great. So under connect, I have family, friends, community. So this definitely has shifted a lot in the last year. My blood family stays the same, and they are my backbone, but for sure they have carried me through the past couple of years, and I'm going to cry. I'm beyond grateful for them, and I would not have made it through without them. And so I want to continue to foster those connections and really lean in more to that. With friends, I would just, continue to put myself out there. I feel like I made a lot of efforts to reach out in the past couple of years, and they're not always, they haven't really panned out. Like, I have lovely friends, but there's just been a loss of connection in general. There hasn't been as much really deep personal connection. Like I said, it felt like a very isolated year, and I would like to change that. And part of that involves the next thing there, which I've written community, which used to be followers, but now I'm saying community because that's one of the ways that I want to expand upon my content this year, but also, and more importantly, embrace connection is through a community with you. And I will talk more about that in the coming months. I'm still kind of putting that together, even just in my mind, and then I actually have to physically put it together. But I would like to create a safe place for us to commune and for me to hang out with you guys and feel connected to you again, because I really hid last year. I hid. I had to for so many reasons, but really just to shield myself while I was going through such a tough time in my emotional journey. And I miss you, and I miss having connections with you, and I would like to get back to a place of that and even expand upon it where we can really come together and be a community. So stay tuned for information on that, probably in a couple months. But it's coming. All right, next banner I have nurture. That was my first word of the year, and that was the year that Cece was born. So this seems fitting as a new mom. So I have kids, obviously. I feel like this is one of the areas where I feel like I'm really, really, really happy and content with the progress I've made as a mom, and especially as a single mom, navigating being a mom and how I am with my kids and how I relate to them and how I interact with them and how we communicate. And I just feel like I am really consciously working on that all the time, and I have since day one of their lives. But especially in 2021, I feel like we got so much closer, and I'm really establishing so much trust there. And I hope they feel it too. I feel like they do, because I sense it from them, and that we just have a great time together and we can get through tough spots, and I'm way more patient and I'm more present and I'm less reactive, and I'm consciously working on those things. And of course, it's never perfect all the time, and I make mistakes. And sometimes I snap and I don't mean to, and I apologize. And to me, I feel like that's the most important thing I can do even, is show my children my humanness, my humanity, in that I'm not always perfectly patient. I don't always hear everything they say because I'm doing 18 other things and I'm stressed about getting us to whatever on time, and But if I can show them that I recognize when I am not acting in a way that I want to, and I can apologize to them for that, and we can have a conversation about it, like a real, actual conversation about whatever it is, I feel like that's such an important thing for me to do as a parent, is to show them how to take responsibility for your actions and do something about them. Like, take action. Be responsible and be respectful. And the only way to really connect truly with somebody is to be honest. And sometimes we don't do exactly the right thing, and we apologize and we talk about it, and we get closer and we move on, So I feel like that was good. That was good last year, and I want to continue that, because that was just really exciting progress for me in my personal life. Winnie, of course, I mentioned on social media this week that she's been losing function of her hind legs pretty steadily for the past 6 months, and I am in the process of taking her to a neuro vet to have her analyzed. I feel like I've gone as far as I can go with her regular vet, and the things that we've tried just haven't helped her. She's not really in pain as far as we can tell most of the time, but it's heartbreaking. You guys, she's my angel, and I will do anything I can to make her as comfortable as possible and to give her the healthiest, longest life possible that I can. So I will keep you posted on her. I kept that close to the vest because it's just, as you can tell, like, I'm getting emotional. It's a lot, but yeah. And I do appreciate everybody who sent their stories and their advice on Instagram, and I'm also trying to get back to as many people as I can lately on there. There's a lot. Under nurture, I also have home. I really love this house, and I do travel a lot because I don't like being home without my kids for more than like a day or two. I don't do well. I don't fare well. Emotionally, it's hard for me. I miss them just as much wherever I am in the world if we're not together. But when I'm home, I miss them that amount, and I wallow. And I get really unproductive and kind of depressive, and it's no good. So I travel a lot, but I don't love my house any less. I love it so much. And I finally started putting things on the walls, like finally, little by little. I'm hanging artwork, and I'm kind of getting into the final stages. I still don't have any furniture in that room. I'm waiting another year or two until the kids are just a smidge older, and then I want to get some really nice, like, adult furniture in there. Just make it like a library, really. I want to put all my memory, keeping all my scrapbooks and things in there, and have really beautiful bookcases and like a nice seating area, and the piano's in there. But for now, the kids love having that space to play in as like the empty, we call it the ballroom. So that makes sense to me while they're still so little. They're 4 and 6, well, almost 4. Donnie will be 4 soon. To have that open space and to not worry about, chocolate fingers and avocado toast and things that stain. But yeah. So more work on the home, and just continue loving it and just being so grateful for. I'm so grateful. I kid you not, I talk to my house and I thank it almost every day. I think, yeah, pretty much. I thank God for it every day, and I thank the house itself for sheltering us and for being such a safe haven and just a beautiful place of respite and care and love and joy. Wow, I'm getting super emotional in this video. Okay, woo, let's have another sip of tea. And lastly, I have self under the nurture category. Again, something I feel like I really excelled at last year. There's nothing like going through the thick of it in your emotions to really sort out what works for you in terms of self-care and not. And the next category kind of goes over that. A lot of that for me is like physical activity and mindful movement. Keeps me grounded. But there's also just spiritual practices, lots of communing with God and just connecting spiritually, journaling, knowing when to take myself away, like I just explained, knowing when to share, all those sorts of things. Okay, so we have breathe. One of the things I realized, I think this was my word of the year a few years ago. Well, yeah, it was 2020 year of the word of the year. One of the things I realized very quickly upon that journey of that word that year was that I was not breathing. Like, of course I'm breathing, I'm alive, but I wasn't breathing well. And so I started meditating daily. I do daily yoga at home, and I started meditating daily actually in 2021. And that has helped me tremendously. So if nothing else, I do a 10-minute daily seated meditation in the morning after I've done my yoga practice. And I sandwich that. So I do yoga, meditate, and then I have my own kind of spiritual practice, which I keep private for now. But it's how I don't ascribe to organized religion, but I am extremely spiritual. Is the short of it. So I do just a 10-minute seated meditation, and that puts me in a really good mindset for that practice after I've done yoga and moved my body mindfully, which takes me out of sleep and out of my waking brain, which immediately goes to like to-do lists and projecting for it. And then so it takes me back into my body, which grounds me. And then I meditate, which helps me breathe and center. And then I do my spiritual stuff. So yoga, meditate, and then I've also written movement because movement is so important to me. Mindful movement. And for me, that's fitness. It's walking outside with my dog or hiking on trails locally or near or far. It's running, it's cycling, it's all things Peloton. You guys know I love Peloton. I dropped my gym membership and my yoga studio membership in the summer of 2020 when it became clear that that just wasn't gonna happen. I think those combined, I was paying about $200 a month for both of those things, like combined. I pay $40 a month for the Peloton app. I did buy the bike. You don't need a bike to do the Peloton app. But I did buy the bike, which is expensive, but totally worth it if you're asking me. But even without the bike, the app, I pay $40 a month for the membership. And I use it substantially more than I ever did the gym membership and the yoga studio membership. And I pay substantially less. So not only is it financially just a better decision for me, like economically, but I get so much joy out of it. It brings me a sense of community. I mentioned I felt there was just a lot of lonely times and feeling very isolated last year. And I recognize that I am a huge reason for that. Like that's me, right? But even in my loneliest of days, in my darkest of days, I had Peloton to look forward to. And I know that might sound really ridiculous to some people. And I've totally taken the Kool-Aid or whatever they say. But I will sing its praises till I'm blue in the face because Peloton, quite frankly, in addition to my family, pulled me through last year. Pulled me through. How they managed to find those instructors who are all from different walks of life, different types of people, and pull them into this platform that provides this community experience. Even when you're all alone in your house, I just felt so connected to those people. And I felt like I was part of something, even though I'm riding on a stationary bicycle by myself or doing, biceps exercises alone in my gym. I just felt connected, and that was just such a gift, and it continues to be. And I will continue to talk only joy and love and praise for Peloton for the foreseeable future because it's just awesome. Those people brought me so much joy last year, and they continue to. And and I'm happy. Oh yes, I decided I completely closed off my public Peloton account because people were doing weird things, kind of stalkerish things, because it lists like the times of your workouts, and people were making strange deductions about my whereabouts and my parenting schedule. It's like, just don't. Like, why do you need to know those? You don't need to know those things. Like, I will share what I share, and that's all you need to know. Like, just don't be weird. And so I went completely blacked out by Peloton. So it was just me, and I missed having that connection. I missed the high fives. I missed sharing with you on Instagram about it. I missed talking in the DMs about it. So I just this past week opened it back up. I'll put my username. It's Wonderful. It's a song from one of my favorite movies from my childhood, Funny Face, with Audrey Hepburn and Frank Sinatra. Oh, it's such a good movie. But Wonderful is a song. Anyway, it's got wonder in it, obviously. And we're putting in a new hashtag. I think we're doing Wonder Crew. New hashtag. So you can follow along there if you're on Peloton on the app or on the bike. Love Peloton. Love Peloton. Okay, so movement, obviously important. I'm the kind of person, I don't, like this, the longest I sit still is when I'm filming a video like this. I need to move. It just helps me. It's my drug of choice for like battling anti-anxiety and anti-depression, any of those things. It just helps me. When I'm starting to feel like really not in a good place, I will do a workout, and it helps. It helps me a lot. Pulls me right out of that, especially Peloton, because it's just so much joy. Moving right along, we have believe and trust, and these kind of go hand in hand. So trust was my word last year, as I mentioned. Believe was from a few years ago. So under believe, I have spirit, magic, love. So spirituality, spirit, God, however you want to, consciousness, like however you want to say it. To me, my beliefs are very strong. They keep growing stronger. I believe in magic. I think it's all connected to God. I think there are things that we cannot explain or predict or understand, and there's so much beauty in that. And it's not always good, and it's not always bad, and it's not always categorizable in that way either, but or definable, I should say, in that way. But I believe in magic, and I believe in love, despite everything. In spite of everything, I believe in love, and I will continue to believe in love till the end of my days. I am at heart a hopeless romantic. And if I can remain a hopeless romantic through all that the last couple of years have revealed and shown me, then I think I'm it for life. And I'm grateful for that. And then under trust, I have God, again, kind of same thing. And as spirit, they're all connected, and myself. And trusting myself is really, I find, tied very directly to trusting in God. The more that I develop a really trusting relationship and connection to God, the more I trust myself. And there was just a lot of growth in that last year, a big growth in that. Now we come to this year, to rise here. And I don't have any subcategories, I just have a quote. Now this is from a Maya Angelou poem, and I'm very conscious that this poem is not necessarily for me, but that all poems are for everybody as well. So I just want to lay that out there. It resonates with me on many different levels, on a collective level, on a cultural level, but also on a personal level in different ways. So I'm going to just share this one stanza that I've written here. And I just, please understand that my intentions with this are not to be diminutive. If anything, it's to be uplifting. I hope that makes sense. All right. This is just part of this poem. I highly recommend looking up the whole poem. It's titled, Still I Rise. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. It's that stanza in particular that shines out to my heart for my personal experience. Like I said, the whole poem to me is a beautiful poem for the collective good and the collective coming together, but this particular stanza to me just was the lesson of 2021 for me. It's like I crashed and I burned so many times and I still rose up. Even if I just crashed right into another fire, like I said, I still rose up. And that's what this year feels like. I feel like I'm just on the precipice of it, right? Not even the precipice. We're in it now. I'm rising up, and I will continue to fall and fail and burn, and I know that's inevitable, but I also know that I will rise, and that's also inevitable because I've made it through, and I will continue to. And that, my friends, it's a very long video, and all I've got for you, 40 minutes later. But yeah, that is my reflections and priorities. Reflections of 2021 and priorities for 2022, if you will. And just the things that are on my heart right now in this very reflective time of year for me. I will be 39 in a week. And so it's the last year of my 30s. And man, what a decade. It's just the best, though. The best. And I'm excited for what's in store and what's to come. And I will bring you along for that journey. I hope you are all well. I hope your New Year's are off to a good start. I know it's a rocky start for so many, and please know that I am with you in heart and in spirit, and I'm sending so much love and hugs and good vibes for whatever you need right now your way. And I am looking forward to connecting more with you this year. So stay tuned for info about that. And I will be back with more fun videos. We're going to catch up on all the last 2021 content that I'm way behind on. So I've got lots stacked up, ready to share with you. And then we'll move on to what 2022 has in store. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching, for your support, for your love and kindness. It means the world to me. And I will see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.